Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses. As we continue with Part 6, The Government of the Fraternity, from the Freemason's Manual, or Illustrations of Masonry by Jeremiah Howe. Chapter 6, The Government of the Fraternity. Freemasonry is a moral order instituted by virtuous men with the praiseworthy object of recalling to our remembrance the most sublime truths in the midst of the most innocent pleasures, founded on liberality, brotherly love, and charity. Arnold. The mode of government observed by the fraternity will give the best idea of the nature and design of the Masonic institution. 3 classes are established among Masons under different appellations. The privileges of each class are distinct, and particular means are adopted to preserve those privileges to the just and meritorious. Honor and probity are recommendations to the first class, in which the practice of virtue is enforced and the duties of morality are inculcated, while the mind is prepared for a regular progress in the principles of knowledge and philosophy. Diligence, assiduity, and application are qualifications for the second class, in which is given an accurate elucidation of science, both in theory and practice. Here, human reason is cultivated by a due exertion of the intellectual powers and faculties. Nice and difficult theories are explained, new discoveries are produced, and those already known beautifully embellished. The third class is restricted to a selected few whom truth and fidelity have distinguished, whom years and experience have improved, and whom merit and abilities have entitled to preferment. With them, the ancient landmarks of the order are preserved, and from them we learn the necessary instructive lessons which dignify the art, and qualify the professors to illustrate its excellence and utility. Such is the established plan of the Masonic system. By this judicious arrangement, true friendship is cultivated among different ranks of men, hospitality promoted, industry rewarded, and ingenuity encouraged. The supreme power is vested in the Grand Master as the organ of the Grand Lodge by which he is elected annually, the members of the Grand Lodge being the masters, wardens, and past masters of the several lodges. The provinces, that is, beyond 10 miles from the metropolis, are each governed in like manner, the provincial Grand Master being the deputy of the Supreme Grand Master. The Supreme Grand Lodge is permanently established in the extensive premises known as Freemason's Hall in Great Queen Street, Lincoln's Inn Fields, where also the executive business of the fraternity is transacted. The regular meetings of the Grand Lodge are held on the first Wednesday in the months of March, June, September, and December. The Grand Festival or installation of the Grand Master is held on the Wednesday following St. George's Day or the 23rd of April. The provincial Grand Lodges are or ought to be held annually at such places the provincial Grand Master may please to appoint. The rule is to visit each lodge in his province seriatim. The laws for government are printed and published under the title of Constitutions of the Ancient Fraternity of Free and Accepted Masons. The style and title of the institution is the Ancient Fraternity of Free and Accepted Masons. The word free originally signified that the person so called was free of the company or guild of incorporated Masons, and those operative Masons who were not free of the guild were excluded from working with those who were. We are told by many authors that this term was first used in the 10th century, when the traveling Masons of Lombardy were incorporated by the Roman pontiff. Accepted we take to be equivalent to the term initiated, and it doubtless alludes to the acceptance into their society by operative Masons of persons who were not operatives. An accepted Mason is one who has been adopted into the order and has received the freedom of the society in the same manner as the freedom of the City of London is now bestowed as a mark of honor on persons of distinguished rank, valor, or attainments. This is evident from the regulations made in 1663 under the Grand Mastership of the Earl of St. Albans, where the word is repeatedly used in this sense. Thus, no person hereafter who shall be accepted a Freemason shall be admitted into any lodge or assembly until he has brought a certificate of the time and place of his acceptation from the lodge that accepted him unto the master of that limit or division where such lodge is kept. And again, no person shall be made or accepted a Freemason unless, etc. A lodge is generally understood to be the room in which a regularly constituted body of Freemasons assembles for the purposes connected with the institution. The term is also used to designate the collection of Masons thus assembled, just as we use the word church to signify the building in which a congregation of worshippers meet, as well as the congregation itself. Reagan says that the word lodge is derived from the Sanskrit loga, which signifies the world. Our lectures define a lodge to be an assembly of Masons, just, perfect and regular, who are met together to expatiate on the beauties and mysteries of the order. It is just because it contains the volume of the sacred law unfolded, perfect from its numbers, every order of Masons being virtually present by its representatives, to ratify and confirm its proceedings, and regular from its warrant of constitution, which implies that it meets and works under the sanction of the Grand Master of the country in which the lodge is held. A lodge room should always, if possible, be situated due east and west. Its form should be that of a parallelogram or oblong square. The approaches should be angular, for Oliver says, "A straight entrance is unmasonic." There should be 2 anterooms adjoining it, the one nearest being the preparation room, and the outer the tiler's room. Symbolically, a Mason's lodge is a representation of the world, its clouded canopy is an emblem of those mansions of unutterable bliss, where the Grand Master of the universe forever reigns, whose all-seeing eye beholds with unceasing complacency the efforts of his creatures to do his will. To that abode of the blessed the Mason is taught to aspire, while the path is indicated by the theological ladder, whose principal rounds are faith, hope, and charity. The sun, the eternal fountain of light, the unwearied ruler of the day, shines in the lodge, a bright exponent of the great Creator's power, while the moon, the glorious orb of night, repeats the lesson of divine munificence. Here too we are taught that the vast universe over which this omnipotence presides was no work of chance, but that its foundations were laid in wisdom, supported by strength and adorned with beauty. And as the presence of the Almighty illuminates with refulgent splendor the most distant recesses of the universe, so is the lodge enlightened by the presence of his revealed will. And hence the Bible, as it is of all lights the most pure, is to the Mason most indispensable. And finally, as this world, vast in its extent and complicated in its motions, is governed and regulated with unceasing concord and harmony, so is the lodge controlled and directed by the same spirit of peace, which, emanating from the exercise of brotherly love, relief and truth, reaps its fruits in universal charity. The widow's tear, the orphan's cry, all wants our ready hands supply, as far as power is given. The naked clothed, the prisoner free, these are thy works, sweet charity, revealed to us from heaven. The place of meeting is named in the warrant of constitution, and the lodge can be held at no other place unless its removal is sanctioned by the proper authorities. Some lodges in the provinces have halls of their own, but the great majority are held at taverns. The provincial Grand Lodge meetings are generally held in the town halls. The floor is said to be paved with mosaic work, which consists of innumerable little stones of different colors, closely united together so as to imitate a painting. The floor of Solomon's temple was thus constructed, and the term mosaic is supposed to have been derived from the fact that Moses so paved the floor of the tabernacle. Mosaic or tessellated pavements were very common among the ancients. The Romans especially most ingeniously decorated their floors in this manner. Several have been discovered in various parts of England. In memory of the flooring of the temple and tabernacle, the mosaic pavement is always preserved as an ornament of the lodge, in the tessellated border, which has in its center a blazing star. The mosaic pavement of a lodge is placed there to show the vicissitudes of human life, that however prosperity may favor us with smiles today, it is uncertain how long it will continue to bless us. Adversity may come when we least expect it, and penury and distress may follow joy and pleasure. The latter period of life may be subjected to want and misery when we are most unfit to encounter it. And instead of resting in peace after a long and troublesome journey, we may be compelled again to encounter the burden and heat of the day. All the decorations and symbols of Freemasonry are borrowed from the tabernacle and temple, and the phraseology from the art of architecture, which serve to characterize an institution which might justly claim more noble devices. At the same time, they are used either as emblems or indications of the simplest and most important moral truths. Human life is checkered at the best, and joy and grief alternately preside, the good and evil demon of mankind. This tessellated ornament or symbol at present exists only in the tracing board, but the important lesson it conveys ought not to be lost sight of. And we trust among the many attempts the brethren make to render their lodges perfect, a tessellated carpet or floor cloth will be in every lodge ere long. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.